Welcome back to another episode of DAS with your boy Sean Mack, and today we're going to be discussing one of my favorite wrestlers of all times as well. He was loved, he was hated, he was feared, but more than anything, he was respected, and that's the late great Christopher King Kong Bundy. So remember, if you like today's content, make sure you share, like, and subscribe to the video. So let's go. Born Christopher Allen Pallies, November 7, 1955, and left this spinning globe March 4th of 2019. Christopher was trained to wrestle by Larry Sharp at the Monster Factory in New Jersey. He debuted on March 7 of 1981, wrestling for the World Wrestling Federation under the ring name Chris Kanyon. His first victory came against Strong Kobayashi in the WWF on July 10th of 1981. In his early years of his career, he also used the ring name Chris Cannon. In 1982, Chris relocated to Texas where he joined the World Class Championship Wrestling. He was developed by the Von Erich family as the babyface Big Daddy Bundy, after Shirley Crabtree's Big Daddy moniker, wearing blue jeans and a robe belt, but turned heel following a dispute with the Von Erich family, and was recruited by Playboy Gary Hart, and dramatically reintroduced as King Kong Bundy, with the Big Daddy portion of the moniker replaced by the name of the cinematic monster, King Kong. Wearing his black singlet for the first time to signify his change, he lost his hair during that feud, adding to his signature look. Bundy was Fritz Von Erich's opponents for Fritz's 1982 retirement match at the Fritz Von Erich retirement show held at the Texas Stadium. He also competed in various territories, such as the American Wrestling Association and the Georgia Championship Wrestling, where he teamed up with the Masked Superstar to defeat his former stablemate, the Road Warriors, for the NWA National Tag Team Championship. He also had the tendency to demand a 5 count, as opposed to a usual 3 count for pinfalls, whenever he dominated his opponent in a squash match, a gimmick he began while wrestling in the Mid-South Wrestling. During this time, Bundy also wrestled in Memphis, often teamed with Rick Rude and Jim Neidhart, against opponents such as Jerry Lawler. After making a few appearances on the New Japan Pro Wrestling / World Wrestling Federation joint show in early of 1985, Bundy officially debuted on the WWF on March 16 of 1985, airing of the WWF Championship Wrestling, defeating Mario Mancini. First managed by Jim Hart, he was immediately pushed with dominating victories over all of his opponents. Bundy also reprised his gimmick of demanding a 5 count from the referee while pinning his opponents to show how badly he had beaten his hapless opponents. He defeated S.D. Jones in what was announced as a 9-second knockout at the first WrestleMania at Madison Square Garden. It was actually about 17 seconds. This remained the shortest match in WrestleMania's history until 2008, when Kane defeated Guerrero Jr. in a legitimate 8 seconds at WrestleMania 27. In September of 1985, Hart traded Bundy to manager Bob Heenan in exchange for Adrian Adonis and the Missing Link. After joining Heenan's family, Bundy feuded excessively with Andre the Giant, a feud which started during an angle where Bundy interfered in one of Andre's matches and delivered several splashes, giving the Giant a broken sternum. They feuded for several months, including a pair of tag team matches on Saturday Night Main Event 2 and 3 in 1985, where Bundy and Andre's other nemesis, Big John Studd, first faced Andre and Tony Atlas, and then Andre for the WWF World Heavyweight Championship against Hulk Hogan. On September 23rd of 1985, Bundy faced Andre the Giant at Madison Square Garden in a match billed as the Colossal Jostle. Andre dominated the match, with the match ending after Big John Studd came from the locker room to Bundy's aid and attacked the Giant, causing a disqualification. Bundy also began targeting Hogan and the WWF World Championship in late '85. At the Saturday Night Main Event 5, Hogan dominated challenger the Magnificent Morocco when Bundy, the Healing Towel, ran to ambush Hogan. With Moroccan's help, Bundy repeatedly gave Hogan avalanches and big splashes, which caused Hogan to severely bruise his ribs. Bundy dominated the match and claimed Hogan was afraid of him, setting up their feud. Hogan demanded revenge and agreed to a steel cage match for the WWF World Heavyweight Championship as the main event of WrestleMania 2 and the Los Angeles portion of the event, which Hogan won. Later in 1986, Bundy reformed his tag team partnership with the Stud and began a feud with the Machines Billy 80 and Blackjack Mulligan, wrestling under masks as the Super Machine and the Big Machine respectively, and often joined by Andre the Giant as the Giant Machine. With one of the greatest storylines ever, Buddy and Stud along with Heenan claimed that the Giant Machine was the masked Andre the Giant and was competing under the mask, an alliance to circumvent an earlier suspension due to a no-show at an event, but none of them were ever proven that Andre and the Giant Machines were one and the same. Eventually, Bundy and Stud began teaming up with Heenan in a series of six-man tag team matches against the Machine, which was usually big and super, as Andre's health was starting to fail him at that time. The Giant Machine made occasional appearances here and there, but more often than not it was the Captain Lou Abando or a number of popular faces, often Hogan, Roddy Piper, and others who teamed up with the Machines. Bundy and Stud were regularly beaten, but won their last match over the super big version of the Machines at Madison Square Garden. Also in the later half of 1986, Bundy and Stud received shots at the WWF Tag Team Championship against the British Bulldogs, but were unsuccessful, often losing by disqualification. Stud left the WWF shortly after their last match with the Machines, and Bundy went back to single competition. At WrestleMania 3, Bundy was involved in a mixed six-man tag team match, teaming up with midget wrestler Lil Tokyo and Lord Lil Brook against Hillbilly Jim and the Haiti Kid and Lil Beaver. During the match, after being pestered by Beaver, Bundy slammed him to the canvas and delivered a big elbow, causing his team to be disqualified, and his own tag team partner turned against him. At the 1987 King of the Ring on September 4th, Bundy made it to the finals of the King of the Ring tournament, where he was defeated by Randy Savage. In November of 1987, Bundy defeated Hulk Hogan via countout on an episode of Saturday Night's Main Event 7, but lost to Hogan in a rematch on the next episode of the series. This match was best known for the referee becoming legitimately injured when he was accidentally caught between Hogan and a charging Bundy, and Andre the Giant's post-match attack of Hogan shortly after Bundy left ringside. Although no longer appearing on the WWF syndicated TV show, Bundy continued to wrestle house shows in early 1988, often losing to Bam Bam Bigelow. In his last match during his initial WWF run was a televised match at Madison Square Garden in February of 1988, teaming up with Butch Reed in a loss to Don Morocco and the Ultimate Warrior. From 1988 to 1994, Bundy was retired, only wrestling a handful of matches here and there. But in 1994, Bundy returned to the WWF as part of Ted DiBiase's stable, the $1 Million Corporation. He had a successful pay-per-view return at the Souvenir Series when he and fellow $1 Million team member Bam Bam Bigelow survived a match against Lex Luger's Guts and Glory team. Bundy was then billed as a favorite in the 1995 Royal Rumble, but lasted only 3 minutes before being eliminated by another big man, Mabel. Bundy made his return to WrestleMania at WrestleMania 11, where he was defeated by The Undertaker. Bundy was later pushed down the card before being released in October of 1995 after teaming up with Kama and losing to Bam Bam Bigelow and Henry O. Goodwin for a dark match for the WWF Superstars of Wrestling. After leaving the WWF in 1995, Bundy would continue to wrestle. He defeated Richard Byrne in May of 2007 at the Big Time Wrestling in Springfield, Massachusetts, in which was also his last and final match of his wrestling career. On March 4th of 2019, Christopher King Kong Bundy died from complications of diabetes at his home in Glassboro, New Jersey, at the age of 63. What can I say? These are one of those things, if you know, you know. If you know, you get it. If you're from that era, It's nostalgia. It brings back so many memories of times of innocence. Remember, if you like today's content, make sure you share, like, and subscribe to the video. Now, there's a lot of things that Christopher King Kong Bundy went through in his life. Some bad things that I didn't want to mention on here because I just like to celebrate what they did in the ring and the things that made me happy when I was a kid and things like that. So you can go somewhere else and see the things that he did that was kind of horrible in life. Maybe I'll talk about it on another Death After Sports, just do it in a different fashions. But I just wanted to give him his respect, tell him rest in peace, and he brought a lot of joy to my childhood. On that note, I've been Sean Mack, and this is Death After Sports. Christopher King Kong Bundy.